Socrates, said that eat to live, not
Mm.
live to eat, right?
Mm.
2,500 years ago. And 2,500 years ago, and he was the pedestal of self-discipline. People loved in him that quality, that virtue, right? So people notice that we have a problem with controlling ourselves long time ago, and they even put into different religions that gluttony is not a good thing and so on, right? But we've never really looked into it from the perspective of something that we do that is transparent. And in sports like Olympic weightlifting, wrestling, boxing, you have a scale, and then these athletes have to be on a scale. So somehow they have to deal with this with this
Mm.
weight the right way. But still, whenever they kind of a diet and they ride there, then they back up after, and it's really difficult and a hard way to keep that way yourself when you want to do more. So the happy body number, that first transparent number that comes in, is the ideal body weight. So that is the first kind of the physical goal up there that tells you what you're supposed to be and to have a good life, or to be a certain way, because it's the quality of living behind that number. And that
Mm.
is a really great number, because looking at that number, I would never be that number. I would be always bigger, right? Fatter and bigger, because how I would know what I'm supposed to be. So somehow, athletes that experience the scale and efficiency of the body system, and making the body the best when it comes to the body weight and the leanness, they learn where is that that system that is the best for us. So
Mm.
mine is about 140 pounds. So I competed in 136, and sometimes I was 140, 145, and lost weight to 136. And whenever I was doing that, it was really hard. It's really hard to be that way. Even when I was in 20s or 30s, it was really hard to make it happen. So it is important to have some kind of way of dealing with that, and creating certain practice that would help you uh, to make it happen, and be graceful when it happens, and be pleasant with it, and actually achieve that way of living. So the next number that the happy body provides is the leanness. And the one thing that we go through when we go through with life is that we lose the muscle, right? And we become fatter, and we become obese, let's say. And I can be obese and I can be 140 pounds, right? Because it is
Mm.
body fat percentage. It's not really how big you are and how much weight you have. So I saw it many times in Los Angeles with women, that they would have 30% body fat, but they could be 110 pounds. So this leanness is another transparency, another number that helps us to know. So the knowledge is a very important part of the happy body plan. When you know what to do, then it's easier to motivate yourself. It's easier to understand that you need 3 years or 5 years to do certain things. And
Mm.
it is true that sometimes, to gain, a certain amount of muscle, you need 3 years. And if you don't have it, it's never not going to happen. So
Yeah.
that knowing the number is one of the really great motivators. There was this coach in Russia that he said that I need 10 years to create a national champion. But if I don't have it, I will never create one, right? What does it mean? That I will break one before, because I will speed up that system. So the system of achieving. So the system of the achieving, when it is really fast, what really is happening, that the system is faster, we become stronger, but the recovery is really behind, and nervous system is behind. So we're becoming drained from the nervous system point of view, and or will become injured because we are too fast, and the body cannot recover, cannot adapt to the changes. So that really speed has to be organized with microprogression, so the body has time to adapt to the changes, but not only the body, the mind as well. So if the mind has time to adapt, and you have to practice on the mind too. So we created a lot of writing, so a lot of poetry, we created during this process, because poetry is very helpful in accepting these hard choices on the way, to understand how and why we are doing, to feel this, because the arts are really incredible guidelines. When we feel something what is wrong, we should feel it so strong that it could make us sick, and that when they say no, I will not do it, right? It's like a very strong aversion to eating certain food or doing certain exercise, which is not good for us. So when you have strong feelings, they can be helpful. When you know, that can be helpful. When you have a virtuous life, that is very helpful, because you know from virtues what is good and what is not. So because of the changes and working on the mind and creating books like what do we have? This one's like, this is the virtues, for example, daily practices for the modern Stoic, right? And it's one of the parts of the happy body, and it explores the idea of virtues, becoming the virtues, and not focusing on the side effects of virtues like happiness. So the joke about that Wayne Dyer was talking about this, I remember years ago, and he gave this story about two cats. An old cat is walking on the street, and he's leisurely bouncing left and right, and then walking really nicely. And you see this young cat is running around trying to catch the tail. So he asked that cat, what is he doing? And the young cat said, well, I went to this school for young cats, and I found out that my happiness is in the tail. So I try to catch it, and when I catch it, I will have it. And so the old cat says, well, I didn't go to any school, but I learned that if I do what I'm supposed to do, and I do what is right, that happiness follows me wherever I go. So here is the story what Wayne Dyer was talking about Stoics. Stoics say one thing, work on virtues. And happiness is the side effect of that being that you become. It's not somewhere outside, right? So we constantly work, right, on the side of the mind to match the physical, because that physical, if you create this excellence in the physical, the mind has to match it.